Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and yes, the title is not a joke. The U.S. military lost a F-35 jet. Now, it's a little unclear if they got it back, but I'm going to read you something that honestly you could have probably read on The Onion or any satirical website. We're working with MCAS Beaufort SC, South Carolina, to locate an F-35 that is a Lockheed Martin F-35 Stealth Lightning II fighter jet that was involved in a mishap this afternoon. The pilot ejected safely, thank God. If you have any information that may help our recovery teams locate the F-35, please contact the Base Defense Operations Center at, I'm not going to give you the number, dot. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is from the Joint Base at Charleston. And, this is like one of those meme posts, right? Where, like, I kind of wonder, all right, am I supposed to wake up from the dream? Is somebody going to burst in with the happy pills? No, ladies and gentlemen, this is a reality right now. Yesterday afternoon, an F-35 jet went missing when a pilot ejected out of it, and because the actual plane was currently on autopilot, it just started flying in its own direction. Now, this mishap came out of the U.S. Marines, okay, ladies and gentlemen, who have said that because this was on autopilot, the jet could actually travel for hundreds of miles, even after the pilot ejects mid-flight. Now, to understand, you might be like, how do you lose a jet? To give you an idea of how much each of these F-35 jets are, they're about $75 to $80 million each, okay? They're not cheap. They are stealth jets that are capable of killing a person across the world without them ever realizing what happens until they see the actual missile fall right on their noggin, okay? That's how insane this entire situation is. Now, according from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter might be one of the most expensive weapons that have ever been developed by the United States government and private contractor Lockheed Martin. So the F-35, which is a decade behind schedule and $183 billion over original cost estimates, I actually think it's over $500 billion from what I understand, based on the entire research cost of developing such a actual tool. The program is weighing options to upgrade its engine and cooling system, and it's taken some seriously important steps. So, of course, in order to run this entire program, it costs billions of dollars, and these jets are not cheap, okay? So when they go missing, it's considered a Class A mishap, okay? A Class A mishap is when somebody dies, or, you lose $2.5 million worth of equipment, okay? Which, if you looked at the price tag for these things, may I remind you, is well into the Class A mishap. Some Japanese speedrunners might call this a Class S mishap, so to speak. But we're not going to go meme around too hard, okay? So let's figure out how this actually happened. So literally like yesterday, the last 2 days ago, around in South Carolina near Lake Moultrie, okay, this is what it looks like over here. This section of the map of the Earth MMO was where the actual F-35 plane was flying around, okay? Now, somewhere in this region, the pilot that was running this during a training exercise for the U.S. Marines ejected out of the airplane, and the airplane being on autopilot, presumably, is just going around, okay? So that's pretty much where it initially started, okay? So obviously, at that moment in time, in the beginning of the video, I showed you when the U.S. government, when the base had asked, hey guys, could you help us find this jet flying around? That's when people were wondering, yo bro, how the fuck do you lose an F-35 stealth fighter jet, okay? Come on now. Now, the U.S. Marine Corps shortly after yesterday said, hey, we order an aviation safety stand down. Following 3 Class A aviation mishaps over the last 6 weeks, Acting Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Eric Smith, directed all Marine Corps aviation units to conduct a 2-day stand-down in operations this week to discuss aviation safety matters and best practices. During the stand-down, commanders will lead discussions with their Marines focusing on the fundamentals of safe flight operations, ground safety maintenance, and flight procedures. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a call from the DoD and the Pentagon came down and said, listen guys, We know that the military machine is bloated, but you can't keep losing 70 to 80 million dollar jets, okay? It's just not economically feasible. We got a lot of shit to report to the taxpayer. Now, to understand, obviously when this situation happens, this is during a training exercise, and it turns out that there's been a bit of speculation. For instance, one of the really solid explanations from individuals who formerly were in the Air Force, or people who know anything about this, pretty much speculated that there was potentially a possible oxygen problem, which is a known issue in F-35s. The pilot was so disoriented due to hypoxia that he just ejected. No idea if that's what happened, but it's very plausible, okay? This is just a speculation piece. Good thing the plane didn't come down in a populated area and kill people. I don't even know if the plane is even found, okay? But we'll get to a lot of that, so to speak. Now, hypoxia is a state in which oxygen is not available in sufficient amounts at the tissue level to maintain adequate homeostasis. If you're going through hypoxia, you could have organ failure. Hell, you could just die straight up. And obviously, at the pressured environments of, combat flight, situations, when you're in an F-35 jet, or really in any fighter jet to begin with, it could be a MiG, F, whatever. This is a situation that could kick in, and it could absolutely cost your life. So to understand, the disorientation that you suffer when you go through hypoxia is insane. You literally don't know what's going on. You have no idea what species you even are, okay? At that moment in time, ejecting is probably the only sane thing that could happen. Now, this is a training exercise, and I know people are like, what if this is some rookie training? Even if it was a rookie training, I'm pretty sure during a training exercise, they don't just put you alone in a fighter jet. You're actually probably sitting there with somebody who knows what they're doing, or if you are alone, you definitely, this isn't your first time on the rodeo. So, ladies and gentlemen, for this to happen, clearly there must have been some serious issue up there, okay? And again, for now, all anybody can do is speculate, because even if this aircraft is found, which it will be, the government's not going to tell you what the fuck happened, okay? All you really can do is just speculate. Now, the pilot who ended up actually ejecting safely landed, and they were put into, they were basically admitted to the hospital, just so they can get checked up on, because people got to wonder what's actually happening, okay? Basically, the Joint Base confirmed that literally after this had happened, the plane was placed into autopilot just before the pilot had actually ejected, okay? And that's pretty much where we're at this point. Now, I want to just start off by saying this is a little bit of speculation. Even the 4chaners got in onto this, okay? This is where I actually ended up finding out about a lot of this. One of the insiders who claimed to be an insider for the government, okay, absolutely not real here. I'm gonna bet my left nut this isn't real. I don't have much time here, so I'll be brief. The U.S. Department of Defense is shitting its pants because the F-35 was actually shot down by what was apparently small arms fire. While I don't know specifics, we do know that it was a large caliber 50 BMG. I don't know if that's necessarily small arms, but okay. That actually, I guess technically would probably fall under it, but that engaged it while it was performing hovering maneuvers. The pilot heard several pings, pilot words not mine, sounds before the warning lights appeared. He or she ejected shortly afterwards. The plane was performing low-speed maneuvers at approximately 2,500 feet over a sparsely populated area known to local law enforcement as having militia activity. So right now, those groups are prime suspects right now. Now again, this is pretty much a spicy as fuck if true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is very much source trust me, bro. In reality, I definitely have to imagine this is just a pilot error, and currently the plane is being tracked down. Now you might be like, whoa, Muda, how is it hard to track a goddamn plane through the air? Now, if you ask me, I'd buy an air tag or something and just stuff it under the seat. Maybe that might be enough to help. But all jokes aside, this is a very advanced piece of stealth technology. Now, of course, to operate this entire program, the F-35s, it cost the U.S. government $1.7 trillion. And they're not spending that for no goddamn reason, okay? Because the F-35 stealth technology is actually so good that it's evading detection. from the US government, the people that actually own this. Now, I was one of those people that actually question this. How do you lose a stealth jet? Don't you kind of have technology on board that helps you track it? And then immediately, a lot of experts did come in and try to tell me that, yeah, it's stealth technology. It's probably not transmitting anything that can be readable, okay? Because you got to understand, even if like this thing could ping back to the government, which it has the ability to do so, without an actual pilot sitting inside of it, detecting a stealth aircraft is just as hard for the enemy right now as it is for the United States government, okay? So to understand, stealth technology, all right, are also known as low observable technology, because yes, this is an F-117 stealth aircraft, and as you can see, it's not necessarily invisible, but obviously in the dead of night, when it comes to radars, when it comes to a lot of technology we use to detect this aircraft, it may actually prove completely invisible in certain scenarios. So to give you an idea, certain aircrafts, depending on their shape, depending on the materials that are even put inside here, for instance, they can have dielectric composite materials, which are actually very transparent to radars. And of course, you've got radar absorbent materials, which I didn't even know what radiation absorbent material RAM was. Often paints are used specially on the edges of metal surfaces. While the material and thickness of RAM coatings can vary, the way they work is the same. Absorb radiated energy from the ground or air-based radar station into the coating and convert it to heat rather than reflect it back. So literally the radiations from radar arrays that are being sent out are just being absorbed by the material instead of sending or pinging things back. And that's why when you look at radars, these things very rarely will show up, okay? The only time you'll ever notice a stealth aircraft is probably when you're 5 seconds away from meeting the missile payload it delivers to you, okay? The government spends millions of dollars to achieve, billions of dollars, trillions to achieve air superiority over any country out there. And even that is kind of a little bit questionable right now. Some sites actually claim that the mystery has ended because there apparently has been wreckage that's found in South Carolina, literally a day after the US Marine Corps lost track of, whenever the pilot had to be ejected out of it. So again, they found a debris field, which they told members of the community should avoid the area as they have a recovery team right now scouring the debris field for this stealth aircraft, because obviously it's going to run out of fuel at some point, and when it runs out of fuel, it ain't gonna land itself, okay? It's gonna crash the old-fashioned way. And at that moment in time, the US government has to grab every single piece that they can, because one of the scariest things about this, for the government at least, is if any enemy, any rival state gets access to this F-35, if they happen to grab any integral piece out of it, it could potentially be reverse engineered, and that means a nearly $1.5 trillion plus project could eventually be leaked out and actual secrets be passed off to terror organizations, criminals, or other governments that the US competes with, okay? So right now, to understand, the United States government pretty much has a monopoly on like the entire air superiority of the world. To lose that would be to lose that scares the shit out of the US defense industry, okay? Out of the Army. So you bet your ass that the Marines are spread all across, everywhere. Park rangers are looking for this F-35 at this moment in time. And even though there's a debris field, okay, I haven't seen a confirmation or anything that the F-35 has been recovered in all of its shape and pieces right now. So it's pretty much kind of a toss-up, all right? One of the weirdest pieces of military confusion has actually kicked in. I feel like 2023 has been such a wild year. Never in my life would I have expected one of the United States government's most top secret, stealth aircraft technologies be lost, okay? And again, the F-35 Lightning II isn't exactly brand new. It didn't come out of nowhere, but to understand, this is a project that very much is in production. It's being used by the Army. It's being used by the government. To lose it would be scary. One interesting tidbit that I found in all of this while researching this whole little goofy story is that apparently in the private world, you too can buy your own fighter jet. There are civilian versions of the F-16, not the F-35, F-35, because I don't think that's going to the public anytime soon, okay? It's probably going to be in the public eye when I'm like an old fucking man. That's how military technology gets disseminated to the civilian world. But there are people that fly privately owned F-16 fighter jets across the skies. And yeah, I guess if you have millions upon millions of dollars, you too can partake in some of the most insane fighter jet fun. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to back out of here, okay? The Air Force has, sorry, the Marines have lost some pretty impressive equipment. So hopefully it gets recovered. And honestly, I hope nobody has died in this entire situation, even though they found a debris field. I honestly hope there's no body in this, just because this didn't crash into the sea. It crashed onto land. So that's usually what I get worried about, okay? But yeah, wild stuff, man. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out. Oh, and if you have any information, please pass it on to the military, okay? They're literally putting up, like, missing pet signs all across the city just to find an F-35, dude. Insane.